Hi everybody, got a great tutorial for you guys today. If you're like me, and I'm sure everyone out there is, you've all got that old school Nintendo and you've heard about the classic, or the Nintendo Classic, or NES Classic, sorry, that just came out over these holidays, and you thought, why am I going to go buy one of these NES Classic machines when I can just bust out my old actual Nintendo Entertainment System and start playing it? But none of your games work in that darn system. Every single time you put it in there, you guys know this trick, right? You pick up your game, you blow in it, you try to get it going, you can't get Paperboy to play no matter what. It's driving you crazy. You're blowing in your Nintendo, you're doing everything you can. Some people have even resorted to this just disastrous idea of dipping their cartridges in water. And once you dip it in water, they found that their game has been able to play. And, you know, amazingly it works. And it works for a very simple reason. Whenever these cartridges, whenever this chip right here gets wet, it increases conductivity. And conductivity is the problem. This is why your games aren't playing. So in this case, this game has been dunked in water. Absolutely ruined it for the most part. However, I will tell you, using this tutorial that I'm about to show you guys, this same game was also dunked in water. You can see some of the rust right there too. And I took the liberty of going ahead and cleaning this thing up. Spent a little bit of time on it, probably about 20 minutes. This game works fine, perfect, 100% every single time. And this was probably the worst chip I've ever seen on a game. I can't believe how bad it was, and it plays just fine. So let me show you guys how to do it. First off, we're going to start with what you're going to need, your tools. You've got these security bits right here. You can find them online very easily for probably about $3 or $4. It doesn't cost that much at all. If you really want to take it up a notch, you get this tri-bit screwdriver as well. That way you can open up your NES system, and that's going to help you out cleaning that out a little bit, although I found I haven't even had to do that yet. And then you know, any type of small eyeglass screwdriver, you want a Phillips and flathead as well, just because it's going to make your life a little bit easier. You're also going to want an actual screwdriver, so that way you can put this security bit into it and you can screw it. You can do it with your fingers, but it's a pain in the butt. Just do that. It's much smarter. These things cost like $6, so it's nothing. Just buy one. You're going to need a bottle of Brasso. This costs probably about $2.40 from Walmart. It's not very expensive at all. And then if you've got any old white t-shirts laying around that no longer fit or have holes in them or threadbare, anything like that, grab one of those because you're going to use it for rags. I found it, you know, cutting it up into even smaller pieces works out best for me, because then I can toss this and I don't have to worry about getting all that Brasso all over my fingers as I rub the chips on the future games as I keep using it. All right, so let's take a look. First off, there are two types of cartridges. There's these 5-screw cartridges, and then there's also the 3-screw cartridges. You can see the difference. One has 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screw holes, and these have 3, 1, 2, 3. Almost all of the cartridges that I have 3 screw holes, and almost all of those use this 3/8 security bit here. So that way you have to have this special bit in order to take them apart. On all my 5 screw hole ones, I can actually use a flathead screwdriver. So if I've got available, sure do. If I've got my little flathead screwdriver, I can jam that in there and then take this one apart without having to use that security bit. In fact, the security bit won't work on this one, any of them that need a flathead. This one right here, it's so corroded, I don't even know what it is, but I imagine it's going to be a security bit, and I'm going to be, you know, busting my tail trying to get it open. But in the case of this first one right here, we're looking at Paperboy. I'm going to show you how easy it is to open it. Or actually, let's look at Atari Warriors 3. This is how much effort you have to put into it. And there you go. There's a couple little tabs up at the top here. So as you undo it, you got to pull them down a little bit. And then make sure to set this down, face down, so that way you don't lose your screws, because that's a pain in the butt trying to find them. They're small. And then you can just pull this right out. This board, this little PCB board, is all there is to your game. All the rest of this is plastic. I found there are a few that are a little bit smaller than this, and there are a few that are a little bit bigger than this. And the good news is you can't put this in backwards whenever you're putting it back together. So do not worry about taking this apart. The only way it will fit back together is the correct way because of these cutouts and notches and stuff that it has. So that's awesome. That's good news for you. And as you take a closer look at this, which, let's see if we can switch here. As you take a closer look at this, you might be able to see some of the corrosion. Yeah, there you go. You see that corrosion on there? That black stuff right at the ends. That's what's really keeping you from being able to play your game. It has nothing to do with your game system. You'll find that your Nintendo is actually one of the most reliable game systems that you will ever own. Way more reliable than the Xbox 360, which everybody had the red ring of death on that. This thing's mine has been kicking around since 1985 and plays every single game that I put in it first time, as long as I clean off this PCB board first. A lot of these PCB boards have years, 20, 30 years of gunk built up on them, and this stuff just needs to be wiped off, and it's very simple. You get your brasso, you get your cloth. Now I've seen some people say that you need to use a cotton swab to do this. I don't think so. Some people say put just a small amount, rub very lightly. I don't think so either. From my experience with computer parts, these things are pretty durable. And I just rub some of this brasso over the top of it. I don't care if I get a little bit on some of that green stuff, it's not going to hurt anything. And just make sure I cover everything I'm going to be rubbing. Now I probably need to get a little bit off of this side. Spread it over here, that way I got it all on there. Now, this might be a bad example because this is actually one of the more clean games that I've got, but some of these are terrible. Now once it's all on there, all you got to do is hold both sides, rub back and forth on it. Sometimes you'll find that you didn't get it all off on the first try. Put a little bit more brasso on there. Sorry about the cats. Put a little bit more brasso on there and it'll clean right off. This is probably one of the cleanest PCB boards you'll ever see now. And this game, guaranteed, I can put straight into my Nintendo, start up, first try, every try now. That's all there is to it. So now once that's done, I'll go ahead and slip it back into the plastic. There we go. And again, these little clips at the top, but seriously, if you're taking this apart, you can't be too dumb not to realize that. Slip it in. Do not over screw this because you are screwing metal into plastic. When it gets to the point where it's tight, just stop. You're fine. You don't need to tighten it up super tight. And there you go. The Ikari Warriors 3 is going to start playing brand new. I mentioned this Rygar one that had been dipped in water and rusted out. I thought it was not going to play. I cleaned it up. I spent a little extra time on it. Actually, a lot more than that Ikari Warriors thing there. I got some of the corrosion off and some of the rust off. I used this to scratch it off. Being very careful not to scratch off those metal contact plates because that's actually how you get your information across to play your game. And then once I was done with that, I was able to play the game just fine. And I actually went through and played through the first two bosses with it, just to make sure I could play more than just a few minutes. Now remember, this thing is rusted out beyond belief, so I may have a little surprise for me whenever I open this thing up. But it does appear to be security bits. And I think I got it. Here we go. So let's see what we have. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Look at that. You can see all that corrosion right there. No way I put this game in is it going to play. Look at all this right here. All this rust and corrosion. That white stuff. Take a look on this side. It's pretty bad. There's green corrosion right up there too as well. This is horrible. You can even see on the contact plates how it's worn around and the rust is eating around the edges. No matter what I do, that's not going to be able to be recovered. However, all I'm going to do is clean it off, make sure that I can get a good clean contact somewhere on each of those contact plates as I insert the game into my Nintendo, and with probably about 95% certainty, I'll tell you this is going to work. Now I'm going to go ahead and probably clean off this plastic piece too, just to get some of this extra rust and corrosion off. We'll jump to that a little bit later. For now, I just want you to see all I'm going to do, same thing as I did with the other one, squirt some Brasso onto my rag. Another fun fact, you'll find that those PCB boards here, these boards that have a lot of this dirt and corrosion on it, they actually smell really bad whenever you put this Brasso on it and start cleaning them off. If they don't have a lot of corrosion, they won't smell that bad at all. The ones with a lot of corrosion on it will stink it up and smell terrible as they get cleaned. Alright, now that's actually probably the best I'm going to be able to do with it. Not much more about those boards. This part right here, I'm still worried about though. So I'm going to see what I can do to try to recover that. A little bit of Brasso. Is this the proper product to clean this? I have no idea. If somebody actually knows, let me know. It seems to work. That's why I keep using it. You got these little pins, which is going to give you some trouble as you try to wipe. So you got to be careful with that as well. Smells bad. Now this big hunk of green actually really doesn't matter if it's got that corrosion on it. I'm trying to clean it off just to, be nice to my game. What I'm really worried about is all this stuff that's right here next to these little pins. So once I've done, a good once over with it, I'm going to get my little screwdriver here. I'm going to start very carefully trying to shave off some of this corrosion that's built up on top of this. Now ultimately I want to make sure that there's a nice clean path. Hey cat. I want to make sure that there's a nice clean path between each of these pins and that there's no corrosion touching from one thing to the next. And try to also get off as much of the corrosion that's on each of the solder pieces, or each of the sections of solder as I can, because once there's some corrosion there, it'll continue to spread. So I'd like to get as much of that off as I can. But remember, this game got dunked in water, and I mean, as anybody who knows anything about electronics, it's probably not a good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working on this. If I haven't already been doing some time lapse, you'll probably see me doing it now. Alright, here we go. Ready for the big test. Now, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go ahead and just use a different cartridge real fast, because I don't want to risk putting in rusty screws before I've verified this thing works, and I have to take them out again, only to find that the screws don't come out that easily. So I'm going to use a different cartridge with no rust. I'm going to use fresh screws. We're going to go check right now and find out if we're going to play Akari Warriors 2. there you go. Not sure if you guys could hear it or not, but I was playing some Ikari Warriors too. So even that terrible, nasty game that you just saw works now that I've done that simple cleaning technique. So there you go. Any questions, comments, make sure to ask. I hope you guys really appreciated this video. I'm going to do my best to shorten it because I know I talk for a long time and it's probably really long. But look forward to doing some more great tutorial videos on some new cool stuff that I find each and every day. Thanks. Bye.